In mid-2023, an unusual sight greeted the streets of Tehran, billboards with text in Hebrew. The ominous message announced the introduction of Iran's latest missile, Fatah, the victory giver. In recent years, Iran has conducted 5 significant missile strikes across its borders, from attacks on ISIS in Syria to U.S. forces, Kurdish militants, and Israeli intelligence in Iraq. But the new missile promises to be something else. While hypersonic missiles like Fatah can travel at extremely high speeds beyond Mach 5, Iran's military alleges that the new missile can reach speeds up to 15 times the speed of sound. Allegedly, the missile can bypass all air defense systems, and with a range of 1,400 kilometers, the Iranians claim Israel is now within its striking range. The billboards had an ominous message in Persian, Arabic, and Hebrew for all to read, quote, 400 seconds to Tel Aviv. On June 6, 2023, there was a significant announcement from Iran claiming the development of a hypersonic missile named Fatah, or Victory Giver. The Iranian media widely publicized this event, featuring images of a black missile bearing one of Islam's names for God, along with a speech from Iran's president, Ibrahim Raisi. After the unveiling, Iran has been actively talking up its capabilities in pro-government media outlets. Additionally, they've been closely monitoring the global reaction to their hypersonic missile announcement. A week later, Iranian media published articles criticizing Israel for not responding to the news and speculating about the potential effectiveness of the defense systems against the missile. Such an exchange of messaging is a common practice between Tehran and Jerusalem. Still, when addressing experts in Israel, there's no consensus on whether the Fatah missile is simply a media stunt. Nevertheless, there's a shared understanding within Israel's defense establishment that they must at least consider the possibility of this weapon being real. Israel has implemented a range of missile defense systems to protect against various threats. The Iron Dome defends against short-range rockets typically launched from nearby Gaza or Lebanon. For medium-range projectiles, David's sling is utilized, while the Arrow family of defense systems counters longer-range ballistic missiles, reaching targets up to 2,400 kilometers away. On the other hand, Iran has a direct route for sending weapons to Russia, and Western powers face challenges in intercepting these shipments. Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE rely on the US-made Patriot missile defense system to protect themselves. Saudi Arabia and the UAE also possess the Terminal High-Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD system, which can intercept medium-range ballistic missiles at higher altitudes and saw its first combat use in January 2022 when it intercepted a Houthi missile aimed at the UAE. Israel's defense minister, Yoav Gallant, expressed confidence in the country's ability to effectively respond to potential threats, boasting superior defensive and offensive capabilities on land, in the air, and at sea. Experts note concrete progress in Iran's missile technology, particularly their hypersonic missile concept, but highlight that hypersonic speeds are not entirely new in the world of ballistic missiles, as many can already travel at such high speeds. Developing a hypersonic weapon is a complex and costly endeavor, and even major powers like the US, Russia, and China have faced challenges in their tests. The Russian launches of the Kinzhal missile in Ukraine were largely unsuccessful, and the American air defense Patriot system recently intercepted missiles that were claimed to be hypersonic, which casts doubt on whether they truly reach the high speeds of hypersonic technology. Hypersonic missiles are weapons that travel at speeds greater than Mach 5. However, they come in various types and designs, and may have different maneuvering capabilities. The presence of a quote-unquote hypersonic weapon in Iran raises concerns, but the extent of the threat it poses largely depends on its maneuverability, which is currently unknown. Globally, there's significant attention on hypersonic missile developments. In Ukraine, the Russian use of air-launched hypersonic missiles has not proven to be a game-changer, as one of their missiles was intercepted by a Patriot air defense system. Nevertheless, in the Pacific region, Chinese and North Korean hypersonic initiatives, which involve glide vehicles flying at lower altitudes, are perceived as emerging threats. Western countries, including the US, are actively working to address this challenge. Notably, on June 14th, Israel's Rafael Advanced Defense Systems announced the development of a missile called Sky Sonic in response to the growing hypersonic missile threat, indicative of the level of investment Israeli firms are making in this technology, which was already in development before the big reveal. Iran maintains that its missile program is for defensive purposes, but a recent editorial in the Kayhan newspaper, under the appointment of Iran's supreme leader, suggests that the Fatah missile also serves as deterrence in economic and political areas. The United States has imposed heavy sanctions on Iran, which the country accuses of waging an economic war against it. The United States has expressed concerns about Iran possessing the largest ballistic missile force in the Middle East, viewing it as a tool for coercion and projecting force. Alex Patanka from the Middle East Institute acknowledges Iran's progress in missile development, but cautions against their habit of making exaggerated claims, stating that Iran is not yet among the top countries capable of producing hypersonic missiles. Recent research revealed that Iranian drones used by Russia in Ukraine were powered by stolen Western technology, raising questions about the credibility of the claimed threat. Amos Yadlin, a former head of Israeli military intelligence and advisor in Israeli national security, is skeptical of Iran's claims, pointing out a disparity between their declarations and the actual performance of their developed systems. It appears that Iran's use of the term hypersonic might refer to the lower end of the hypersonic spectrum. Additionally, Iran is known for prioritizing shorter research and development processes, which could compromise performance for propaganda and strategic communication purposes. The director of the Israel Missile Defense Organization, Uzi Rubin, explained, quote, "The concept is elegant, and there is no reason why it should not work. It's impossible to judge from their hitherto released material how close they are to implementation." Tal Inbar, a renowned expert on missile and UAV programs with 25 years of experience, has identified what he believes to be a genuine hypersonic missile in Iran. He distinguishes it from recent hypersonic weapons like China's DF-17, describing it as a, quote, "poor man's missile" due to its innovative design. The missile combines a hypersonic weapon placed on top of a solid rocket motor inside a re-entry vehicle, allowing it to maintain velocity and altitude during its return from space, an advantage over traditional hypersonic missiles. Inbar believes the video evidence of the missile's impact is genuine, citing Iran's history of accurate missile strikes. It highlights the significance of redesigning the re-entry vehicle, underscoring its uniqueness as an entirely Iranian development, unrelated to missiles from North Korea, Russia, or China. He warns of the seriousness of this new threat and urges Israel to take notice, expressing concerns that some in Israel may not fully grasp the gravity of the situation. Yehoshua Kaliski from the Institute for National Security Studies at Tel Aviv University agrees that Israel should take the threat seriously, but advises against panic. He points out that Iran has conducted only ground experiments and disclosed limited operational details about the missile, raising questions about its real capabilities. Kaliski believes that Iran's current capabilities in hypersonic weapons may not be fully developed, given the complexity of the technologies involved. Iran has developed a new missile that sets it apart from its previous designs. The experts say this missile is maneuverable, which means it can change its path during flight, making it challenging to intercept. While it may not have the same level of maneuverability as some other countries' hypersonic weapons, it still represents an improvement for Iran. Fatah builds upon earlier domestic technology. Although there are uncertainties about its capabilities, it's believed that even the advanced Patriot missile defense system might be able to shoot down a Fatah missile under certain conditions. However, successful missile defense depends on factors like the system's location and the number and sophistication of the incoming missiles. Gulf Arab states have been concerned about Iran's missile program, pushing for it to be addressed in talks about Iran's nuclear program. Nevertheless, tensions have eased in the region as Iran's Arab neighbors have begun reconciling with the country. Among the nations, Israel remains the most concerned about Iran's new missile. Despite current limitations, Israeli officials express confidence that they will be able to defend against it in the future.
In the waters off the Iranian coast, a converted cargo ship slips quietly through the night. To the untrained eye, it's just another merchant vessel. But this unique vessel, named Shahid Bagheri, represents a bold new chapter in Iran's ever-evolving unmanned aerial vehicle game. With an unconventional deck structure, unlike anything seen on traditional carriers, no armor, and other strange features, this isn't designed for fighter jets or helicopters. Its purpose is far more innovative. It's built for drones. After years of rumors, the veil has finally been lifted. Intelligence reports now confirm what naval strategists worldwide have long suspected. Iran's drone carrier is not just a concept, but a fully operational reality. Coincidentally, with tensions in the Middle East at an all-time high, the U.S. Navy, which has long dominated these waters with its massive carrier strike groups, has just ordered reinforcements to the area. The U.S. warships vastly outsize the Shahid Bagheri, with vessels 3 times longer and 10 times the water displacement. As these behemoths steam towards the region, many experts predict any confrontation would be decidedly one-sided. Yet, the true threat lies not in the Iranian ship itself, but in the swarms of agile, expendable drones it can deploy. Iran isn't playing by the old rules of naval warfare. In their strategy, size doesn't dictate the winner. As tensions rise, the confined waters of the Persian Gulf may soon witness a clash where traditional naval might faces an entirely new form of combat. Over the past decade, Iran has quietly developed a significant presence in drone technology. This effort took a major leap forward on December 4, 2011, when Iran captured a US RQ-170, a highly advanced stealth drone. By reverse engineering this mysterious model, Iran gained access to critical stealth technology. The capture of the RQ-170 was a game-changer, not just for the technology Iran seized, but for the sheer audacity of the operation. The stealth drone, flying undetected in Iranian airspace, was suddenly intercepted and forced to land. While some reports hint at possible help from China or Belarus, the exact method remains unclear. What's certain is that it was a major embarrassment for the US, described as the most significant American loss of sensitive defense technology to a hostile state since the end of the Cold War, sparking criticism of the Obama administration. However, there was a strong possibility that Iran shared the RQ-170's captured technology, or even the drone itself, with defense partners like China, North Korea, Russia, or other US adversaries. Since then, America has moved on with successor models like the RQ-180. For Iran, however, this breakthrough marked a technological acceleration phase, making way for a diverse fleet of drones. And here's the kicker. They've been busy putting their new toys to work. Fast forward nearly 15 years from the American drone capture, and UAVs aren't just a part of Iran's military strategy. They're at its core, especially in asymmetric warfare. These flying machines are Iran's eyes in the sky, gathering intel, conducting surveillance, and, when needed, delivering precision strikes. Iran didn't just stop at replicating the RQ-170. The nation has continued to develop and unveil increasingly advanced flying wing stealth drones, each generation with greater sophistication, allowing Iran to extend its reach far beyond its borders and project power in ways previously unattainable. In February 2018, an Iranian surveillance drone, likely the Segeh, infiltrated Israeli airspace. Its similarity to the US model allowed it to evade multiple Patriot missile intercepts, showcasing Iran's advanced drone capabilities. Ultimately, an Israeli attack helicopter had to take it down at close range, where its stealth features were less effective. This incident highlighted the growing sophistication of Iranian drones and the increasing challenges they pose to regional defense systems. In recent years, the Revolutionary Guard Corps has spearheaded Iran's drone operations abroad. These UAVs have played crucial roles in Middle Eastern campaigns, especially in supporting counterinsurgency efforts in Syria alongside Syrian and Russian forces. However, despite these advancements, Iran's drone operations faced a fundamental limitation: the lack of a dedicated platform to deploy these UAVs on a larger strategic scale. This limitation has since been addressed, and now, Iran is poised to take its drone warfare to the next level. In a move that signals a significant shift in its naval strategy, Iran recently completed the Shahid Bagheri. While officially referred to as a forward base ship, the vessel is actually something more intriguing. It's a drone carrier. The Shahid Bagheri's transformation from a commercial ship to a drone carrier involved substantial modifications. The ship's original civilian design was stripped down and rebuilt to accommodate a range of unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs. This conversion process marks a new chapter in Iran's military capabilities. One of the most striking features of the Shahid Bagheri is its landing deck. which some experts describe as bizarre due to its unconventional design. Unlike traditional aircraft carriers with wide, flat decks, the Shahid Baghaeri's deck appears narrower and more specialized. This design is likely tailored specifically for drones, which require less space for takeoff and landing compared to manned aircraft. The deck's unusual shape could be a strategic choice intended to maximize the number of drones that can be launched and recovered simultaneously. This could significantly increase the ship's operational tempo during combat operations. But here's where it gets interesting. The Shahid Baghaeri isn't just about drones. The vessel could also carry a variety of other weaponry. The space opposite the angled deck extension could accommodate different types of modular weapons, while the aft deck behind the superstructure might field helicopters or smaller drones that are catapult-launched and net or line recovered. There's even speculation about the potential deployment of cruise missiles from trailer or truck-mounted containers. Images of this unconventional aircraft carrier hit the internet in mid-August 2024, quickly going viral. These photos, showing Iran's progress compared to early development images from earlier in the year, sparked widespread discussion and speculation about Iran's naval ambitions and the vessel's true capabilities. The Shahid Baghaeri was officially completed in August 2024, at a time of heightened tensions in the Middle East. That very same week, the US Navy also made a timely announcement. Just as Iran unveiled its new drone carrier, the US responded by ramping up its naval presence in the Middle East. With the US and Israel on high alert for a potential military response from Iran or its proxies following the recent attacks on key figures in Hamas and Hezbollah, the United States Defense Secretary ordered USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group to accelerate deployment to the Middle East. With the order, Lincoln, a Nimitz-class carrier, set sail towards the area, accompanied by 2 squadrons of carrier-launched fighter jets, a guided missile cruiser, and a guided missile destroyer. Lincoln will join a sister ship already in the Mediterranean, USS Theodore Roosevelt, and her entire strike group. However, this move also leaves the Indo-Pacific region without the protection of mighty American carriers. According to Jerry Hendricks, a retired US Navy captain, quote, "2 carriers is definitely a signal. It allows us to cover both sides of the Middle East. You've got one coming out of the Mediterranean that gives you double coverage to be able to cover down on Israel on one side and lay pressure on Iran on the other side." Answering the Secretary's orders is also USS Georgia, a guided missile submarine lurking beneath the surface, armed with over 500 Tomahawk missiles. The sheer concentration of US firepower in the region sends a clear message. Any aggressive moves will be met with overwhelming force, even a so-called drone carrier. The Shahid Baghaeri, Iran's bold step into drone carrier territory, isn't without its Achilles heels. In a face-off with a conventional powerhouse like the US Navy, these weaknesses could prove critical. The new ship, Shahid Baghaeri's most glaring weakness is its lack of armor. Traditional aircraft carriers are fortresses at sea, heavily armored and bristling with weapons. In contrast, the Iranian model is a soft target with minimal protection against enemy fire. This vulnerability is magnified in combat situations, where missiles, torpedoes, or even smaller naval craft could pose serious threats. Ironically, the ship's size, necessary for its drone fleet, only serves to make it an easier mark. While typical carrier strike groups benefit from a protective screen of escort ships, destroyers and frigates providing layered defense against aerial, surface, and submarine threats, the Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy lacks these vital support vessels. The drone carrier's operational concept, while innovative, is also its potential downfall. Relying heavily on drones, it excels in asymmetric warfare and specific missions. Yet these unmanned aircraft, advanced as they are, fall short when facing a broad spectrum of threats expected from a high-intensity conflict. In a hypothetical confrontation with the US Navy, these weaknesses wouldn't go unnoticed or wasted by the most powerful Navy in the world. A direct clash between US carrier strike groups and Iran's drone carrier appears unlikely. The power gap is stark, and the Shahid Baghaeri's vulnerabilities are glaring. However, dismissing it as just another warship would be a mistake. The Shahid Baghaeri's true power isn't in slugging it out with American flat tops, but in how it alters the American set rules of engagement. While the ship introduces a new element to Iran's naval strategy, it is clear that its role would be more suited to unconventional, asymmetric operations, rather than facing a traditional naval power head-on. Shahid Bagheri's ability to deploy swarms of drones, including those designed for reconnaissance, electronic warfare, and even kamikaze missions, presents a challenge that traditional naval assets may not be fully prepared for. Just a century ago, the U.S. Navy's first aircraft carrier, USS Langley, started out as a humble collier named USS Jupiter. It was converted into a flat top and, despite its limitations, became the foundation for what would evolve into the powerhouse of U.S. naval aviation. While the IRGC Shahid Bagheri might not seem like much now, it has the potential to significantly extend Tehran's reach, much like those early carriers once did, especially more now since Iran has plans to convert a second container ship into a forward base ship for drone operations, although progress is still unclear. And while Shahid Bagheri might not win a straight fight, it's not trying to. It's aiming to change the fight altogether. The question is, how will the other players adapt?
For years, Iran has avoided developing its own technology by simply copying the most successful weapons from other nations, and it recently put its eyes on one of the world's most powerful tanks in order to bolster its defenses and deter the West from trying to influence the Islamic country. The Karar, or Stryker heavy tank, is a highly modified Soviet-era T-7 tank that has been updated with state-of-the-art technology to perform at the same level as the Russian T-90. Iran claims that its so-called domestically designed tank is as powerful as any other main battle tank in the world, and they've built a massive manufacturing industry around it, having allegedly produced over 800 tanks in an aggressive move that seeks to drastically increase their defense capabilities and their technological military prowess. Several military analysts doubt that the Karar can perform similarly to the T-90, as the Iranian regime claims, but if only a fraction of what they promise is true, the Middle Eastern nation could grow to become one of the greatest threats to Western democracies. In recent years, Iran has been able to produce outstanding military weapons, despite being a relatively small nation with a limited military industry and under the devastating weight of several Western economic sanctions. Most other nations under these specific circumstances are forced to buy a few outdated weapons from foreign countries, and they can only dream of having their own military industry. But incredibly, Iran has been able to make its own military equipment independently. The nation's apparent success lies in its blatant and defiant copying of older American, European, Russian, and Chinese military technology. While they know they lack the engineering and scientific backing to design their very own weapons from scratch, the Iranians are not afraid to reverse engineer foreign technology and make it their own. Recently, Iran has unveiled numerous military designs, including jet fighters, gunships, warships, tanks, missiles, and artillery units. And even though they are highly varied, they share one thing in common. Any military aficionado can quickly see that they are versions of iconic military weapons. The fact that these so-called domestic products are copies of old technology doesn't mean they are not a significant threat. Many of the weapons they copy are some of the best and most battle-tested military assets in the world, and the Iranians often add a modern spin to them. The obvious perk of this approach is that Iran gets to expand its arsenal while saving all the money that other nations invest in research and development, as Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Dan Ward, an engineer and acquisitions officer, put it, quote, "One of the benefits of this frugal innovation approach is that it allows a greater quantity of aircraft to be purchased, as opposed to the infamously small fleet of F-22s, for example." As such, Iran might not have the most innovative or unique weapons, but they can build more of them, which serves as a powerful propaganda tactic and makes Western countries think twice before considering angering the totalitarian government. By now, the nation has made the blatant copying of foreign technology a national doctrine, and any external military asset that falls into their hands is at risk of becoming the newest Iranian indigenous technology. Moreover, Iranian officials claimed that they'd figured out how to make their own stealth drones after a United States spy drone crashed into the Iran-Afghanistan border in December of 2011. But the latest weapon they've copied and claimed as their own design is the mighty Russian T-90, one of the most powerful tanks in the world. It is yet another Vietnam-era asset, revamped and repainted to make it their own, but only time will tell if it retains the features that make the T-90 so impressive. In 2015, Russia announced that it would allow the manufacture of the T-90S main battle tank in Iran after lifting restrictions between the two countries. The deal was unprecedented, as it would give a powerful new weapon to the Iranian regime, which had previously been limited to an older arsenal. Still, just as work began on the Iranian T-90, something went wrong, and the deal was cancelled, with Russia withdrawing the permission for Iran to produce its tanks. Notably, as Iran announced that the deal was off, it also clarified that the nation now had the capacity to build its own third-generation tank. The Iranian tank would be known as the Karar, or Striker, and it was significantly similar to the Russian T-90. The Karar design was first unveiled back in 2016, and less than a year later, a massive assembly line was built at the Bani Hashim Defense Industrial Complex. It is believed that by 2018, the Iranian military had already produced about 800 tanks. Russia has publicly criticized the Iranian armored vehicle, calling it an inferior copy of the T-90. Nevertheless, some analysts have suggested this might be for show, and that Russia is actually allowing Iran to use their technology. If the Karar is anywhere close to the T-90 in performance, firepower, mobility, and protection, it would be a massive step forward for the Iranian military, and a demonstration of the copycat doctrine's success. Having over 800 T-90 equivalent tanks would instantly make the Iranian armed military a force to be reckoned with, as the armored vehicle would represent a huge step forward from the previous Zulfikar tank used by the Iranian troops. Iranian Army Ground Force Brigadier General Kiyomar's Haidar even claimed that the Karar is, quote, much more advanced than the Zulfikar, adding that, quote, it has turned into a weapon for modern warfare. Haidar also singled out the tank's new gun stabilizer and chemical defense systems as proof of its advanced capabilities. In 2022, pictures of the new tank were finally revealed, leaving military experts puzzled. The Karar looks to be a highly modified version of the Soviet-era T-72 tank, reimagined to look and function as a modern Russian T-90 MS heavy tank. Interestingly, the Iranian vehicle also has some significant deviations from the Russian design that give it some similarities to the British Chieftains and the US Abrams. Moreover, the tank seems to have been heavily modified in the front section and the commander's cupola, while its machine gun and hatch have been eliminated. Additionally, the new tank appears to feature a new gunner's sight and remote-controlled weapons system. Like Russia's T-90, the Karar is believed to have a 3-crew configuration and is equipped with composite armor with explosive reactive armor panels. Evident as it is, the Karar is not a domestic design, with many features taken directly from Russian, American, and European designs. However, the pictures do not seem to portray an armored vehicle as advanced as the Russian T-90. Several experts have even speculated that Iran had to make several necessary sacrifices due to their limited technological capabilities and lack of strategic materials. Whatever the case, the world will not know if the Karar is a truly equivalent tank to the T-90 or just another cheap replica made to intimidate the West until the vehicle is tested in battle. However, the US and its allies remain vigilant about the possibility of Iran being armed with T-90 level tanks, because if such a claim has any merit, it could mean the Islamic nation is on the verge of becoming a colossal threat to peace and democracy in the world. In the thrilling arena of modern warfare, drone technology has emerged as a game-changing force, revolutionizing how battles are fought and won. Today, drones have become indispensable tools for the world's militaries, and Turkey is no exception. As the nation propels itself into the future, investing millions of lira in valuable projects, the nation is unleashing a new generation of awe-inspiring machines. One of them is the Anka-3 stealth drone, a cutting-edge marvel from Turkish aerospace industries that is set to revolutionize Turkey's air combat capabilities. This sleek, stealthy machine, invisible to enemy radar, embodies the nation's abilities to excel in the global UAV market with a low radar signature, incredible speed, and lethal precision, making it a force to be reckoned with. As the Anka-3 takes flight, it heralds a new dawn for Turkey's air combat and defense strategy, showcasing its determination to claim its rightful place among aerial warfare titans. With minimal risk to human life, the Anka-3 drone is set to become the ultimate sentinels, guarding Turkey's interests from afar. All over the world, powerful nations are creating incredible drone systems, but one stands out as the most surprising developer. Turkey's mastery of drone technology has taken the world by storm, unveiling awe-inspiring machines with a dynamic fusion of surveillance, precision, and power. Leaping into the forefront of technological innovation, in 2022, the Turkish defense industry revealed that the Turkish Aircraft Industries Corporation was also working on an unmanned fighter aircraft. Turkey's Victory Day is celebrated on March 18th to commemorate the Battle of Gallipoli. This year, it coincided with the 100th anniversary of the founding of modern Turkey by Kemal Atatürk. Given this significance, a new promising project was announced during Turkish Vice President Fuat Oktay's speech at the Grand National Assembly of Turkey's General Assembly. The platform, the Anka-3 MIUS, which stands for National Unmanned Combat Aerial Vehicle System, is part of a new generation project that will increase the capabilities of unmanned aerial vehicles. According to a statement made by the Vice President, with its jet engine and speed, high payload capacity, and tailless structure that is almost invisible to radar, the model would open a new chapter in the field of UAVs. In mid-March 2023, the ambitious Turkish air combat aircraft officially broke cover when the Anka-3 MIUS low-observable flying-wing unmanned combat air vehicle's first images were released, alongside other upcoming projects. This was revealed by Professor Dr. Temel Kutil, CEO of Turkish Air Industries' official Twitter account, showing off the nation's new deep strike stealth Anka-3 flying wing. Only 2 days after revealing the first images, the TAI CEO revealed the drone's technical specifications at the 4th Military Radar and Border Security Summit in Ankara. Turkey's first flying wing unmanned combat aircraft stunned more than one expert. Turkish authorities are keeping the exact details of this new unmanned fighter jet under wraps. However, some of its specifications are already available. Approximately the size of a light fighter, the Anka-3 is reportedly powered by a single AI-25 TLT or AI-322 series turbofan engine from Ivchenko Progress. With a takeoff weight of 14,330 pounds and a payload capacity of 2,645 pounds, the Anka-3 can reach a service altitude of 40,000 feet and stay airborne for up to 10 hours. It has a cruising speed of 288 miles per hour and a maximum speed of 489 miles per hour. The total length, wingspan, engine power, and curb weight of the vehicle were not included in the presentation, but rumors suggest that the platform has a wingspan of almost 40 feet and a length of 29 feet. The drone's design is similar to Boeing's X-45C and Dassault's Neuron, but it appears to be less refined. The Anka-3's unique design includes a serrated dorsal air intake and an auxiliary intake near the engine exhaust. Aerials and antennas are installed on the auxiliary intake, with multiple pitot tubes positioned along the leading edge and nose of the aircraft. All these features offer a resilient and relatively long endurance platform. The Anka-3 is an innovative Turkish drone designed to be versatile and robust. Equipped with within visual range and beyond visual range communication data links, the drone's roles encompass suppression and deconstruction of enemy air defense, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and electronic warfare. Following in the footsteps of advanced Turkish drones like the famous Bayraktar TB2 family, the Anka-3 comes with external hardpoints for munitions and fuel. What sets the Anka-3 apart is its optional external weapon stations, in addition to the internal ones. The outer weapon stations feature general-purpose bombs equipped with Taber 82 and Taber 81 guidance kits, providing even more versatility. Designed to have a low radar cross-section, the Anka-3 lacks horizontal and vertical stabilization in the tail design, and its weapon stations are housed in the fuselage. The Anka-3 is a dynamic and advanced Turkish drone designed for a range of roles of future defense scenarios. With its unique features, this cutting-edge drone is set to play a crucial role in Turkey's defense strategy, alongside manned aircraft like the TFX stealthy fighter. Turkey's growing aerospace industry has been focusing on developing advanced unmanned aerial combat capabilities to bolster its high-performance air combat inventory. While countries like China and Russia have fully disclosed their active flying wing UCAV programs, the United States has focused on collaborative teaming aircraft, emphasizing cost consciousness and high performance. Turkey, on the other hand, has been pushing forward with indigenous air combat aircraft initiatives. The Turkish armed forces actively utilize Anka medium-altitude, long-endurance, unmanned aerial vehicle systems developed by Turkish Aircraft Industries Corporation as part of the Anka-1 project. These Anka unmanned aerial vehicle systems, already in production, including Anka-A, Anka-B, and Anka-S, have been exported to 6 countries, with the Turkish Navy, Air Force, and Special Missions employing these UAVs. The Aksungur UAV, developed under the Anka-2 project, has also been exported to 2 countries, reflecting Turkey's expanding influence in the UAV market. New systems in different stages of development or production, including TFX, Anka-3, Bayraktar Kızılelma, and Hürjet projects, represent a new era of promise for Turkey's aerospace industry and tactical capabilities. However, these projects face numerous challenges, such as airframe development, software development, subsystem integration, and the creation of low probability of intercept sensors, advanced communications, and radar-absorbent coatings. Additionally, access to engine technology remains a potential issue. Geopolitical factors, such as Turkey's purchase of the S-400 SAM system from Russia, have strained relations with the United States and affected Turkey's access to F-16 fighter aircraft. As a result, Turkey has been extending the life of its F-16 fleet while continuing to pursue new F-16s as a bridge to a more independent, high-performance air combat inventory. Despite these hurdles, if Turkey's vision comes to fruition and they successfully develop and integrate these aircraft into its defense strategy, it would be a massive accomplishment with considerable export potential. The TAI Anka-3 combat unmanned aircraft system represents one of Turkey's most ambitious projects in the area. In addition to the first images of the Anka-3 that were recently shared, its test schedule leading up to its first flight was also revealed. The structural assembly of the first prototype was completed in January 2023, with assembly and ground tests expected to be finished by March 2023. Turkey's focus on stealthy flying wing UCAVs, such as the Anka-3, highlight its determination to strengthen its air combat capabilities. As Turkey continues to forge ahead with its aerospace projects, the nation's future in air combat and defense strategy looks promising, with the potential to reshape the global UAV market. If Turkey can successfully develop and test these aircraft, it could provide an intriguing mix of advanced unmanned aerial combat capabilities to the Turkish Air Force and potentially export customers in the future.